Okay, we are now live on Facebook and live on Zoom for our hearing.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. I'll call the 2024 public hearing on school choice pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 76, Section 12, capital B, to order. Would all members who are present please indicate so? Roll call. Mr. Kearney?
Present.
Ms. Leskey?
Present.
I am present. Craig McClellan. Mr. Carr?
Present.
We have 4 members that are present at the school committee. Mr. Dow is not available today. However, we do have a quorum and we will begin the hearing. The purpose of the public hearing on school choice is to determine whether or not Cohasset Public Schools will be a receiving district.
Correct.
For the school choice program. And what that means is that there is a program, again, pursuant to the general laws, Chapter 76, Section 12B, that allows students from one district to attend a school that is not within their residential district. A public school has the option of being what's called a receiving school district, where students from outside of the district can attend, so long as there's room, that public school. And it is up to the individual district by law whether or not they want to participate. And there are various considerations in determining whether or not that's the right choice for the district, including but not limited to whether or not resources would allow that district to receive students from other districts. Now, although we're here to determine whether or not Cohasset would be a receiving school district on the interdistrict school choice program, students that reside in Cohasset, regardless of whether we decide we're going to be a receiving school district, may still elect to attend a district outside of Cohasset by notifying the superintendent of that district and telling them such. Now, if that is the case, Cohasset will need to pay tuition.
Only if that school is an inter-district school choice
That's right.
district.
That's right.
Or, remember, you have charter schools.
Yep.
You have vocational technical schools, South Shore Vocational Technical, and then you have schools like TECA or Commonwealth Virtual Academy.
That's right.
Which is an option for.
Which are other options for students to attend schools that are not within the district. However, they are not necessarily part of the interdistrict school choice program.
Correct.
That would be going to a school that has decided that they are a receiving district under that program.
Correct.
But Dr. Sullivan just articulated the other options that are available for students outside of the interdistrict school choice program, where students that reside in Cohasset could attend schools that are outside of the district. So that option is available so long as the school is either a vocational tech school or a charter school, a private school, or a virtual school, or a receiving interdistrict school.
That's right.
Regardless of what we decide here. So what our charge is to take public comment on and deliberate on whether or not we feel, and we're obligated to do this every single year, and this is the 2024 hearing on it, whether or not we feel Cohasset should be a receiving school district under the interdistrict school choice program. So I'll just open it up first to public comment for anyone that's here in person, or if anyone is watching virtually and they want to utilize the Q&A feature on Zoom to make comments. I will state that, just remind everyone that our rules are that each household has a maximum of 3 comments per meeting. In this particular case, we would have 3 comments for this particular hearing, and then we're going to move into the school committee hearing meeting, so that would be another 3 for the same household. But I just remind everyone of that at the outset. So I don't know if either one of our administrators are keeping an eye on the Q&A. You can just let us know.
Like there's nothing at this time.
If anyone pops up. I think we have a family member in the audience. I don't know if you have any public comment relative to school choice program.
So who is the ultimate, who makes the ultimate decision whether a student at this school, in this school district, can go to another?
So could I just, even though I think many of us know you, could you just for the record, because someone's listening and recording this, can you just state your name and your
Sure, my name is Jay Catadella, and my daughter is Portia Catadella at Deer Hill, Porter.
But your residential address, did you say that?
249 Beechwood Street.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so, and your question?
My question is, who makes the ultimate decision whether someone in this school district can go to another school district?
The superintendent of the other school district, who's receiving.
Yeah, so it's not, so if a student in our district wants to attend through the inter-school, so the inter-district school choice program, wants to attend another school that participates in that as a receiving district,
Right,
they contact the superintendent of that district, and that district, although they have elected to be a receiving district, may not have they can limit the amount of spaces available to out of district students. So
right.
that superintendent decides whether or not they have the space available, and if so, then they'll receive your student, and then Cohasset is responsible for paying a $5,000 tuition.
Okay,
But it's not, we have, I say we, the school district of the student that's looking to go to school outside of their district, so that the student's own district does not have a say in that, whether or not they go,
but has to pay the.
but has to pay.
Correct.
I'd like to make a statement. I said that my daughter is Portia, and she's in the 4th grade at Deer Hill. She has had significant learning delays her whole life and now has a limited use of her left arm, left hand, and leg from a seizure she had last summer. I know you're all aware of that. I have letters right here from Portia's 2 neurologists, her pediatrician, and a neuropsychologist from the Integrated Center for Child Development that say she should be in a specialized learning environment like South Shore Collaborative in Hingham. Cohasset's Office of Student Services has denied us the ability to visit the South Shore Collaborative to assess if it is a better fit for Portia. We have been pushed to the point of hiring a lawyer just to be able to visit the collaborative. How's that for the lack of school choice?
Okay,
Any comments?
thank you for your comment.
We're a member of South Shore Educational Collaborative.
Right,
Okay,
so maybe maybe you can respond to, I'm wary of getting into details
I
of a
wouldn't want to
student's,
comment
of
on
a
a
student's
specific
particular circumstance,
situation.
even though her father is welcome to waive that.
No,
we're-
I would not comment on this.
No, I'm saying
Forum, but I
her
would- I
father is
would-
welcome to comment on whatever he wants, but I would not want our district commenting on a
Well,
student's situation.
that would be a breach of
Right.
confidentiality.
Right, so I was just commenting, obviously, a
Yes.
child's parent can show up and say whatever they want.
Of course, but I would
Child.
encourage anyone to contact our Director of Student Services to work through any situation. I certainly can look into this, but I wouldn't want to comment on it publicly.
okay, so not commenting on any specifics. Why can't a student who has special needs be allowed to visit the South Shore Collaborative to see if that is a better place for them to be?
I couldn't comment on an individual situation. I don't know about the situation, Mr. Cardello. It would be inappropriate for me and I'd be ill-informed to comment on it.
Would you like to meet tomorrow and I can give you every bit of detail?
Well, we can certainly set up time to meet. I'd have to, figure out a time to meet, but I'd be absolutely willing to meet with you at any time that
Okay.
is mutually convenient for both of us.
Good, I'll be calling you and hopefully we can meet.
And that's always the case, meet with anybody to try to help them,
Well, let me
In
ask,
any way.
let me ask this. Have you reached out to the district superintendent, Dr. Sullivan, yet on this issue? Directly?
No,
Okay,
I've been dealing with Barbara Salanka the
okay,
entire time.
okay, well, that's great. So I
So
think,
I should have gone over it way before this.
no, not necessarily. I'm just saying I'm always available to talk and I certainly will do that.
Okay,
no, I'm glad that you realize that Alvin is open to you now, and it sounds like,
Oh, yeah.
I know for a fact that Dr. Sullivan is always meeting with family members and stakeholders in general. about this.
Well, I certainly, it's dismaying to hear Mr. Cardello's unhappiness and I definitely want to talk to him about it.
And I just offer that personally, I can imagine the frustration, I can sense the frustration in your voice, and I'm sorry that you're confronting that, I really am. And, and I hope that, you can have a positive discourse with Dr. Sullivan. No idea what the outcome of that will be, but I just from a basic, human level, like, and as a father, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I hope that, you can reach some
So
resolution.
we made this request at the beginning of the school year. We've been pushed on to the point where the school year is gonna be over and we can forget about it next year too. So that's been the tactic that's been used, just push it along. So,
Okay, well, like I said, I can hear your frustration, and Dr. Sullivan's invited you to discuss it with him, and then, if after that conversation, you still feel that there's some sort of grievance, I mean, you're always welcome to obviously contact any one of your elected representatives as well about that. But I think the best venue or forum for that is definitely offline, not on public hearing, just because it's a really sensitive sort of area where we're talking about, minors situations, health situations, learning differences, anything like that. We're really handcuffed in terms of what we can talk about. So I don't want you to think that this is a deflection. It's not. It is being cautious and mindful of the laws. But at the same time, privately, we can, of course, discuss
Okay.
things.
it was a discussion on school choice. I figured I'd
Of course.
bring up my personal experience with.
And we're glad you did, and we're glad you're here, and we're glad to see you on a regular basis. We're glad you're participating. I mean, you're coming to the table, and we appreciate that. And I'm not saying that it was inappropriate at all. I'm just saying that I don't want you to think that we were deflecting. It's probably frustrating to get sort of a non-answer when we're saying, oh, we can't talk publicly about it. It's just, we can't. So talk to Dr. Sullivan, and then given what the outcome is there, you're always welcome to, that's why we exist. That's why you elect us every year, one or more of us get elected, so reach out to us,
Okay,
okay?
I will.
You have one
Great.
comment or question. There's no name or street address, so I have requested that they send that along. Is the cost incurred by the sending district based on what we allocate set per student, or is it based on what the sending district allocates per student?
I don't know.
I don't understand the question.
I think what the correct, well, again, I don't. Per student. No, it's per student, but I think that if I'm correct, Ms. Kearney, I think, and I don't know who this is, so I can't direct my answer to them. It's a little awkward,
Yeah.
not knowing who it is, maybe she'll wait and see,
Yeah.
but it, to answer the question generally, the question seems to be, is it based on the per pupil amount here or the per pupil amount at the school that would be receiving the child if it's a class student? And I believe it's a formula,
I do.
and I'm not sure exactly the formula. We have never been a receiving district. You mentioned $5,000.
Yeah, because I had anticipated this question, because I was
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah.
And it looks like I think the best answer is if you go on to the DESE website, if you just search school choice districts in Massachusetts, DESE,
Mhm.
it'll come up, it'll probably be the first link, and there's an option that you can click on, preliminary tuition for the most recent year, and then final tuition for previous years. So my guess is there in the preliminary tuition figure for
Yeah,
the most recent year was 5,000.
right.
My guess is they then finalize that using whatever formula you're talking
Right,
about. So
right.
I think the best way to answer the tuition question is for you to go to that website. But it has, if your question is asking whether or not we, as the sending district, have any control over that, we do not.
We do not. It's a set formula, and I apologize for not knowing actually the formula.
See if I can actually. We still have.
I think there was also on how many you can actually, like 5%, there was a percentage, wasn't there, on how many you can accept? And vote on this? I guess.
How many a receiving district can accept? I don't know what sets that quota. be honest with you. I think it's based on space. that you have.
Yeah, you can allow it or not, you can say no, yes or no.
We can, I mean, in the past, the questions that's been asked of me by the committee has been, do we have space?
Yeah.
And my answer is, I don't believe we have significant space.
Right.
I think
But that would be at least if you had the opportunity. Well, we'll discuss, when we get into discussion.
So I'm reading the regular day school, and I actually looked on the final school choice tuition for 2023.
Mhm.
So it's been finalized in the past. It says the regular day school tuition rate is $5,000 per student for school districts and $9,184 per student for Commonwealth virtual schools,
Correct.
with an additional $75 per student administrative fee. So it seems like it's $5,000. There are also, just for everyone's edification, there were 184 receiving school districts and 316 sending districts in 2023. So, we need to move into the school committee meeting soon, so we should just open deliberation,
well,
and discuss whether or not we want to be a receiving school choice
Okay.
district.
I would say that,
Mr. Kieran.
yes, thank you. I voted for this, yes, the whole, ever since I've been here, so I agree with, I think that if a kid's not comfortable in the school, then they should have a chance to move to another school.
They can. Anybody here can do that.
You can't move, like, if I want to bring my kid to another school right now,
You could, it would have to be an inter-district school.
if we vote for this.
Or
If
you
we
vote-
vote, if we, let me get this right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so again, we're voting on, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
After
correct.
sharing-
I think, Mr. Kieran, your concern is if, say, your son, okay?
Yep.
Wanted to go to Hanover.
Yeah.
And Hanover was a receiving school
would have
district.
to
I
be-
don't know this, Hanover, I'm just
Hanover is
using
not.
a random example.
Oh,
with
I
Hanover.
see, he could go.
You
apply
could,
to
he
go
could
there.
still contact the superintendent
Yeah.
of Hanover and say, hi, I noticed you're a receiving school choice district. My son would like to attend your school. Can we? And if they had the room, okay, because they can limit. If they had the room, they'd say, yes, we'd love to have Jack Kearney come on. And then Cohasset would then be responsible for paying that tuition.
Right, but it would have to be, again, it would have to be a school district that was signed up for that,
Right.
or a vocational school,
Right,
or a Commonwealth virtual school, a technical school. Not necessarily all the schools are school choice schools.
Or charter school.
Okay, so just know that it doesn't mean that any school lines up with that school choice. Some schools are specialized, and they're specialized and take in students based on the need of the student and the determination of a team regarding a student. Those aren't school choice schools.
So we're saying
Necessarily.
that our kids can go to other schools, but other kids can't go to our school.
As of now.
Unless and what we're voting on
Right.
is to determine if Cohasset Public Schools will be a receiving school district, meaning will we take in kids who opt for school choice from other districts? And my point about that is that I feel we're limited on space to provide that resource. I understand the virtues of it. We're a METCO school. We value diversity. We value that back and forth. There's a lot of good things that come from it, and it's part of what we believe in. But I would add that we're limited in resources and we're limited in space. And I would just put that out there as a cautionary note for your decision.
So so what happens is Jack, or whoever the kid is, goes to another town such as Hanover.
If Hanover is an inter-district school choice,
But he can't go to Cohasset. Just because the family moved, we're done. We can't enter Cohasset.
no, I'm confused by that question.
No.
Okay, so my family leaves,
That's
we
not
have to
correct.
go and live with mom, say, and she lives in Hanover. And my child has been in Cohasset for 10 years. He's going in 11th and 12th grade, and we moved.
All right,
So we're
so,
not able to go to Cohasset.
no, so that's a different thing altogether. We have in our policies, that if, and I'd have to look at it, but there's a certain year, if a kid has been in school, I think, I
Okay.
believe it's still senior year, then they can continue. If not, then they have to go where they reside. And that would be the town that, in your scenario, you moved to. Now, if we were an interschool, interdistricts, then they could come back to us. But again, we've accounted for that in our policies, for the scenario that you just mentioned.
So it's only senior.
I don't know, again, I'd have to look at it. I think it's senior year, but I'd have to look at the particulars of it.
Yeah.
But that's not school choice.
That's not school choice.
So what we're trying to decide is whether we want to be a receiving district, and you can also limit that to certain grades if you want. But we just want, the only thing we're trying to decide here is whether or not we want Cohasset Public Schools to accept students from outside districts as part of the interdistrict school choice program. Mr. Gardner, do you have any?
Have we ever looked at what our limitation is on space?
Mhm.
We have.
We know what our class sizes are, and I think
Okay.
people very much value in this community, low class sizes. It's
Okay.
been something that has been advocated for years. And I know our staff, feels they can work more effectively, lower class sizes. So I just want to caution that. And then in some cases, we do have some overcrowding based on size of rooms. That's all in our statement of interest for the MSBA. Talks about severe overcrowding, particularly in classrooms where the space does not afford many students to begin. So it does cause a pinch at Cohasset Public Schools. As you know, a wonderful school district. We're going to have a lot of people that want to come to join us, and I think that's wonderful.
Disproportionate.
What do you mean by disproportionate?
There won't be a similar amount of people that want to leave the district.
There's certainly, but remember, they can do that anyway. But and our
Right, I didn't know that actually. I didn't know that. So you're one of those, and then the school district writes a check for $5,000 plus, right?
But what we're talking about is, do we want to allow people to come in? And I'm just
You're saying you
cautioning
don't have to spay.
space and resources.
Staffing, sorry.
That's what I'm just cautioning us on, just to be considerate of it.
And then do we know what other collaborative towns that we work with around here do allow this?
Yes, there's a list in your packet
Okay, great.
that shows everyone, every public school and whether they're interdistrict last year,
Yeah.
whether they were interdistrict or not. And all towns have to decide by May if they're going to join, which is the purpose of this meeting.
So Hingham, no. Hull, no. Duxbury,
I
no.
don't know anyone around, I believe Rockland might be.
Situate, no. And Quincy, no.
Not sure.
Rockland is yes.
Yeah, I think Rockland was the one that stood out.
Norwell, no.
While we're waiting, just for the record, the person who asked the question was Mariah Toffey from Orchard Drive.
Thank you, Ms. Talking. Excuse me for being cautionary.
And
about it.
Hanover is not.
I just saw that. I just saw that.
It was not. I knew
Yeah,
that.
just saw that.
Using it as a random example.
Yeah, there are very few, because of the same reason, resources.
Ms. Leskey?
Is admission though into, I'm gonna call it admission into Cohasset Public Schools though, as a transferring student, based on the caveat is if we have the space and if we have the services to serve that student? Or how does that work in terms of being a receiving school, in terms of that there are limits? Every district has limits to how many students they can serve and
Yeah.
whether or not a student's profile can be served adequately here. So I was just wondering what the mechanism is to say yes or no to a family who's seeking to come to Cohasset, and whether or not that's protective of the class sizes that you're speaking to.
It's an interesting question. I don't know what the limit would be in capping it. I don't.
So there's
Yeah.
no sort of admissions process where you might get a child's file and say, oh goodness, like this child is currently, receiving
So-
X kind of therapies, and we don't have a therapist of that who's certified to do that.
So so you're talking, let's say a student who has
Possibly, but even just a,
But if they did, that would, just to take that off, if it's student on ID, that would have to be done within the team process.
okay.
Right, because then there's a placement fee for that, that's a little
That's-
bit
that's
different.
different.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So say you're talking just about a student and they're looking to take, you know, French 1 and, you know, et cetera, but those classes are at capacity. Is there any point at which the district has a mechanism to accept or decline the student or the family looking to do that, to have a way to assess whether or not we actually do have space or not?
I don't know.
Okay. Just wondering. Because I feel like philosophically, being a district that's sort of giving openness to.
Well, I imagine it's not gonna be just a few kids. You're probably gonna have to fill, you're really gonna have to explain your capacity limits.
So then there's also an administrative time and energy.
Well, there's that, but I think that if we're gonna be a school choice district, we have to understand that we're gonna fill our rooms to the max. And that it's not gonna be the situation where we can just determine on a dime that we've had enough. There's gonna be a limit that's set for us. I would imagine that is pretty high. So
Okay.
it's not gonna be a case where we can take 10 kids in.
All right, so that's an external limit is set. It's not determined by the district.
That's my
Okay.
understanding. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if it's determined by the district, but I think that it's unique to the district, but I think it has, it's a lot, it's basically to capacity.
Okay, so
I
you
don't
and
think
Dr.
we-
Scollins can't sit down and say, you know, it looks like we could maybe take 10 kids this year. This is something that the
Well-
DOE says, or DESI says,
I don't know that for sure, but I do think if we're going to say yes to be a receiving district, then we've really got to open ourselves up to taking a wide variety of students. And the whole philosophy of it is that we're not being picky. We're actually opening up our doors as a public school, as all public schools do. It's free and appropriate to everyone. This one's a little bit not free because it gets paid in, but it still is free. It's education.
right,
It's just taxing moving back and forth, but we'd have to open up our doors to be a receiving district. And part of being a receiving district is you do take folks from various places who want to come in.
And then, honestly, on a budget standpoint, it would probably be a little difficult to anticipate that, right? I mean,
And it's only $5,000, which doesn't cover the costs that you incur.
Yeah, per pupil is listed at like 23,000.
And we're voting on this in
so
regular.
you can't just like limit, like. I can't
We
make some great-
are, and
Okay.
I would add a few things. So first of all, to me, it's just a general resources issue. And as we know, right now, our resources are pretty limited, right? And it's not only just resources from, teaching and learning issue or physical space, it's also the administrative end of this, and processing the requests and determining, who's going to be accepted and how many students and probably, educating ourselves a bit about the process in terms of defining the acceptance limitations. I'm sure there's some sort of formula to that too, but I do not know. That said, I also think that Cohasset historically has not done this, and that is not necessarily a reason not to do it. But I think that if folks are thinking, well, this may be for us, I think that we need to probably educate ourselves a little bit more than 15 minutes and talk about it. We might want to put it as a future agenda item to consider it if we want to go in more depth. But at this point, we're obligated to have this hearing basically by this time every year. So we do need to make a decision for this year. And I find that, we're a competitive school district. We have limited resources. We just had a really tough budgetary year. And I think we would receive a great number of requests. We would not be necessarily equipped to handle those and process those immediately. But it's something that we could give more thought, deeper thought to in future years. That's my position as an individual on the committee. I would be apprehensive about deciding to become a receiving district in the inter-district school choice program right here and now. But it's something we can talk about in the future. I'll echo Dr. Sullivan's comments that, we are a METCO district. So we do get a lot of benefits in that program. one of the many benefits is in increasing diversity in our otherwise fairly homogeneous district. That's obviously one, I think that may be one motivating factor for districts to become a receiving school choice district. I think that we have answered that in a different way, in a really enriching way, in my opinion. So those are my thoughts. Any other thoughts from anyone else on the committee before we take a vote? Because we've got to move into the regular school committee meeting.
They do talk about it being on a random basis. And it basically it's about the amount of seats that are available. And I would say we have very few seats available in Slesky in that regard. It says, when admitting students through school choice under the general law, school districts may not consider or discriminate based on race, color, religious creed, national origin, sex, gender identity, age, sexual orientation, ancestry, athletic performance, physical handicap, special need, academic performance, or proficiency in the English language. If the number of applicants exceeds the number of available seats, the selection of students must be on a random basis. The selection process must take place prior to July 1st, and again, assuming there are seats available prior to November 1st. Once students are selected, the receiving school district must notify the sending district of the acceptance of such students. Neither the sending nor the receiving school district may disclose publicly the identities of student participants in school choice.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Any other comments from anyone else on the committee before we take a vote? Is there a motion on the floor?
You want a motion now for this? Okay.
So the motion would be either to,
We don't make a
to
motion.
approve a Cohasset as a receiving district or to not become a receiving district.
And we don't make that motion in the regular session as indicated on the agenda.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Did we,
Yeah.
is it listed there? Okay.
Is that where we do it? or-
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Apologies.
So what do? We come out of this
If we,
session?
yep, if we have no further comment, then we just adjourn this public hearing and we just move right into the school committee hearing. Meeting.
And could we have a 1 minute break in between?
Well, we're already sort of past the point of,
Okay,
all right, so is there a motion to move back to adjourn the public hearing on interdistrict school choice program?
I move we adjourn that meeting.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Leskey, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? So that's a vote of 4 in favor, and Mr. Dial is not present, so it's a 4-0 vote. The hearing is adjourned. So we'll move into the school committee meeting. So I would call the April 24, 2024 regular meeting, the Cohasset School Committee to order. Would all members who are present please indicate so in roll call? Mr. Carr?
Aye.
Mr. Carr, are you present?
Present.
Mr. Kearney?
Present.
Ms. Leskey?
Present.
Craig McClellan, I'm present. So, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I don't think there are because we've been checking them, but Dr. Scollins, is there any public comment? Public comment is the section or portion of the school committee meeting reserved for comments or concerns or thoughts or questions that are not related to something that's already on the agenda. If you have a thought or concern or question about something that's on the agenda, please just reserve that until we arrive at that point on the agenda, and then you are welcome to raise your concern. So anyone that has a issue that is not on the agenda, please feel free to utilize the Q&A feature on Zoom if you're watching or participating remotely, or if you're in the audience, you can certainly raise your hand at this time. Dr. Scollins, anyone?
We do not have any comments at this time.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the invited guest portion of the meeting, and it does not appear that our student representative or liaison is here tonight, but that's fine. We'll look forward to hearing from Noah at a later date, and we'll move right into the next invited guest, which is our athletic director, Mr. Steve Rotundi. Mr. Rotundi, come on down.
See Mr. Kennedy? Welcome.
With the hot seat.
All right, thanks. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
I want to say great start to the season. Mr. Rotundi is also our boys varsity lacrosse coach.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good start. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Vitandi. What I asked Mr. Vitandi to do is to update a bit on some of our, because this is really his first major update of the year, to talk a bit about the fall and winter sports seasons and some of our triumphs in those seasons. And then also to talk about just overarching finances and then the start of the spring season. So
Sure.
Take it away, Mr. Vitandi.
All right, yeah, good to see everyone. Happy to be here. Yeah, again, I'd start by saying very fortunate to have another successful season here thus far. And obviously the spring, we have a long way to go, but we had a very successful season in the fall and the winter. Again, unprecedented things happening here and hoping to do some things in the spring. So where the winter season kind of just ended, a couple of things I wanted to spotlight and highlight because as we the winter season stuff is starting to get kind of published right now, and we'll be able to promote it a little bit more and get it into newsletters and share it and get it out. But I'd say two major accomplishments from the winter season is we had a swimmer, Jack DeMello, a senior, win the individual state championship in the 50 free. So Jack's been a great swimmer for us over his career, and that this was certainly a goal of his. So to accomplish that was big. And along with that, Sarah Chenette, one of our basketball players, 4 years ago, Molly Greer was our first female 1,000 point scorer in school history. Sarah has joined her as the second female 1,000 point scorer, but Sarah will now also graduate as our all-time leading female scorer in basketball. So with the two of them, all the accolades have kind of just been rolling in for a lot of our student athletes, but specifically those two, I wanted to highlight them because as I wrote in the email to them, they've kind of hit the trifecta of just getting recognized as all scholastics by the Boston Globe, the Boston Herald, and the Patriot Ledger. So they're completing their bios and getting all that information in, and then once it's actually official and published, we can celebrate it and share it in pictures and get that out. But along with the two of them, every team made the postseason, as we did in the fall. Every team participated in the tournament, which was great. We had multiple all-stars in each sport and multiple all-scholastics recognized by, like I said, the two of them got all three, but either the Ledger, the Herald, or the Boston Globe. So that was a real highlight of the winter season. And now as we go into the spring, it's also that time of year. One thing I wanted to highlight is we have to turn in all kinds of participation data surveys. There's a lot of surveys going on right now, and how many sports you have, how many offerings. National Honor Society, MIAA had just sent one out. And again, I had just done this for Principal Scott a few weeks ago, but going off last year into this year's numbers, our participation rate still continues to be one of the highest in the state at 86%. So 86% of our student athletes participated in a sport in the high school. And I know that number gets like big eyes when I'm in my meetings with other athletic directors, and I wish I could speak to all the other schools' numbers right now to share with you. So I don't want to just like make up a number, but I know a lot of schools aim for 50% participation. So to be at 86%, it really is, one of the highest in the state. Right before April vacation, Principal Scott and I went to our Scholar Athlete Banquet. So I wanted to highlight that. It's always a nice night. Each school in the league selects two scholar athletes, a male and a female, to be represented by their school. We have a banquet, we have a dinner, their families are invited. We have a guest speaker, which for us this year was Cohasset's coach, Phil Mahoney. He did a fantastic job, and he's always nice to have there. So he spoke to all the athletes that were selected. So Angelina Grimes and Charlie Lankow were two of our two students that were selected. So multi-sport captains, multi-sport student athletes, and we have so many kids here to pick from. But it's really impressive, that room. It's a nice night. So I wanted to highlight them. And then kind of just pushing forward to the spring. Everyone's off to a good start. The spring season's rolling right now that we're back from the April break. Everything will really push forward. Looking forward to having a successful spring. We'll do, again, similar to like we always do. Like I mentioned, the participation, we'll have a signing day in the spring. So we had a few student athletes sign letters of intent to play Division I or Division II scholarships in the fall. We'll now bring everyone together in the spring to celebrate all the kids going on to play college sports next year. And that's going to be a significant number. So again, I think year after year, we're able to prove that you could stay here in Cohasset, you could play sports at a high level, you could be successful, and the Ivy Leagues find you, the NESCACs find you. You can sign a Division I scholarship. There's a lot of opportunities. So looking forward to that day later in the spring to just highlight the kids and their families.
Great, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mr. Rotundi.
Sorry for the.
No problem. That's the way we like it. Good job, great job. Any questions, Mr. Rotundi, Mr. Carr?
No, it's fantastic. It's really great. Congratulations. It's just all great news. We care very much about wellness, especially around here. So like sports activity is really important. And it leads to a well-rounded education. I think all of this is terrific news. So congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Mr. Keary?
I just want to thank you as well. Steve, you've done a great job. I mean, the kids are really happy having my kids, 3 athletes, and they're loving it. Softball is at its all-time high. We have 20 kids on the team. I think when you got there, it was shared with Cohasset and Hull together, and now it's a full squad, and I thank you for that. Again, you added volleyball. I think that's to be competitive our first year. I know that's just the fall season. However, that was a huge accomplishment. Yeah, just keep up the good work. I know it gets tough on you with the busing and everything now, but you've done a great job making it work. And, as a proud father of 2, 3 actually, Jackson on the track.
Yeah.
So, thank you and thank you to the coaches and the assistant coaches and all the people that help.
Okay, Ms. Keary, Ms. Leskey?
And I'll echo my thanks, and I appreciate the report. I am especially appreciative of the celebration of the scholar athlete, because I think those 2 things actually go hand in hand and complement each other. The busier you are, the more you get done, and that sort of offset of physical activity with the intellectual activity, I think is important. And so I really appreciate that that's part of the program here in Cohasset.
Thank you, Ms. Leskey. And as usual, Ms. Leskey took my comment about the our athletes. So that's all I had to add, is that I appreciated that. And I appreciate everything you do, Mr. Rotundi. Thank you. We appreciate you. And thank you for the update. And seeing no further questions.
Great. For your time, and thank you for everything you do.
But before I park, can I make a quick scoreboard?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, please.
No, actually, we did want to say this.
Oh, you know what? Thank you. That was good to see you.
Is there anything that you would want from us? I guess I should ask that question.
No, I actually talked to Sue about this earlier. Again, from the last time I was here, like I said, like Dr. Sullivan mentioned, this is my first report here this year, but I feel like from the last time that I was here, and I was saying this to Sue just a short few hours ago, that no, there's always big wish list want items for someone, or big ideas, but again, being in the room with other athletic directors, other schools, other districts, I always feel so extremely supported and have the resources that I need to provide the best opportunity for kids to participate in educational athletics. So I thank all of you. And yeah, there's certainly big things in my head and I could go any which way, but no, I always feel so supported, and we have everything that we need to run successful programs. And by the success, you can see that, we're not limited. So thank you, because it makes it a lot easier for sure.
All right. Thank you,
What
Mr.
would you
Rotundi.
want
So
to-
what was the scoreboard?
So just a kind of an update on our alumni field scoreboard. So, something that we've been trying to or wanted to improve for some time now. And it's an outdated scoreboard. It still has actual light bulbs in it that get replaced. But over the last, going on about a year now, so it's 9 months, and been looking into options to get a scoreboard. Well, we had dialogue back and forth. We have some donors that wanted to talk about the scoreboard. They wanted to find ways to get us a new scoreboard. And we're at a place right now that I've gotten renderings and quotes and options and allowed them to review it and go over it and look at it. And they're fully on board. They want to support it. They want to see us have it as a school. So kind of just putting the final touches on that, so that hopefully I can then come to this meeting and present to
Great.
you the renderings, share with you the
That's
discussions, the
Very
financial
exciting.
number, and see if it's something we could accept as a gift. But yeah, we're very close to getting to that point to
That's great. Love you.
get your permission.
It's great news. Thanks for that update. We look forward to that. Just let Mr. Dial know when you have that, and we can put you on the agenda.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
Super.
All right.
Thank you, Athletic Director.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see everyone.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the school update section of the agenda. Dr. Sullivan, any school updates for us?
We do. I have some nice school updates. So first off, it did not make it to the presentation here, but we just heard from US News and World Report, once again, that our high school was selected as a school of distinction. We're way up in the state. I can't remember the number, but around the same we were last year. And we are just literally hot off the press. And we were second in this part of the state.
Well, I'm sorry.
This
US
is
News and World
US
Report.
News and World
We
Report.
were number 32.
32,
once again,
and
a school.
would you say for the area?
Second in the area. Yeah,
Down
like,
from first, though.
what?
Down from first. We were
Well,
first last year, I feel.
I think,
Norwell beat us out this year.
yeah, I don't know about, I think we flip-flopped, yeah, we did. But anyway, it's
That
the
happens.
metric, still very high, and a school distinction, and in the top, 700 something in the country, which is obviously a pretty amazing feat.
That's
So,
amazing.
Yeah, so some good things happening there. Not that that rating means everything, but it is
Yeah,
nice to
it's
get
always
those accolades when they come, because, sometimes we hear it when they don't come. So, and that, of course, is a community really honor. This was a wonderful event. I'm so proud that this is happening in Cohasset. I think it's really serving as a model for everything we believe is important in bringing our community to create family-like schools and to really extend our schools into families. So this was wonderful. It was our second
I
annual.
will never miss, I'll never miss another one. I had Bacala.
This one,
Yeah, I seen Dr. Stones.
so.
It was like
good.
going to Epco Center in Disney. you know, like,
Yeah.
I got this section
It
over
really
here.
was. That's a good
Yeah,
analogy.
I was like, I could have hung out there all day and
Yeah,
I
it was
just got
great.
I left with a huge smile and a full tummy for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
It was
And the kids
wonderful.
were- They were
But-
educational too. It was-
Very much so, and real
Great
thank
job,
you
great
to Ms. Gittens Carl, to and anyone who's attached to any of the diversity groups in Cohasset. And this is a full community effort. I put some pictures in here to help our Dr. Scollins, but you can see we in the bottom right corner we had our own Vinny representing with
That's
our
Yeah.
our
Meat
food
on
services,
cheese.
meat on cheese.
Yeah.
Have one of those.
Ice
Those were
balls.
delicious.
Yeah.
And we had Irish dancers, we had a mariachi.
Yeah, we had mariachi
Mariachi band, sorry, and a,
We had a drummer who came in, he had all sorts of drums and.
yep, you'll see them as we go,
Yeah, it
just
was
some of the Irish
And they were just
dancers.
Fabulous.
Adorable.
And this is Joe and his
Goodness.
family. They had a wonderful table and
Great.
I love the pride in the cultures. It was heartwarming and also, really inspirational, just to show,
really was.
the diversity we have here, some obviously
That's
Brazilian, descent. Just great. These are some delicious, I believe there are some Philippines, delicious, you can see,
And then this was our,
Mr. Craftsman.
so this French club, and they make crepes.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no
they
kidding.
were,
I
he
missed
pulled
that.
that all together for them. Well, they went
Wow.
really fast
They
because
made
once
them right
they-
there.
They
That's a
did,
pretty-
yeah, you can see those
I
black, those are electric crepe makers, and they really got good at it, and they were really funny. They were really excited to
Yeah.
do it, and
Kids,
um,
yeah.
it was wonderful, yeah.
The flags were good. We have flags from
All
many
over.
nationalities.
Yeah, and the custodian did an amazing job putting them up. It just looked
It
beautiful.
looked great. Here you can see some of the
Yeah,
dancers we had, the mariachi band.
And the three little boys, if you see on the bottom right-hand corner, that's their mom right there with that beautiful red and white outfit on. And it was just really, really fun. And I think what was really fun, of course, you expect the little ones to jump in with those drums, but there were middle schoolers and high schoolers running in. He had all sorts of different percussion instruments, and they were in the corners just rocking out. It was
And we
great.
spread out, right? So
Mhm.
first time we were just half of the gym. This
Oh,
time,
wow.
the Big half of the gym.
Yeah.
I think maybe next time we're gonna be full.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it was
That's
just,
great.
it was lovely.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
We've had a few curriculum engagement activities of recent times. We had a math night at Osgood, which was successful. One of the reflective elements of this is we're going to do this earlier next year. I know that Principal Farrell will be all over that, but great presentation. And then we had a really interactive, engaging math activity day at
Grade 3.
Deer Hill for grade 3. And you can see some of our students and families working on these really interesting and challenging math games that are part of our Bridges Math program.
Correct, and so the students are actually teaching their family members how to play. And so it was really strategic and thoughtful, and the students actually had voice around which games would be part of it, and then they kind of went through, and then they picked 3, and they learned the 3 games to teach their family members. So we had grandparents come in, we had aunts, we had friends. It was really, really wonderful. So that was grade 3, and then grades 5 and 4 will have their days Monday and Tuesday of next week. But they also took advantage of the fact that the families were there, and there was an optional presentation by our math specialists, Ms. Lornay and Ms. Varney. And so we had about 25 family members in the cafeteria, and they gave about a 25-minute presentation on what is our original curriculum, what do what can you expect to see at home, what's happening in the classrooms, and then answered questions, which were really, really good because, math is different from when you were kids, right? And so there was a question about math facts. What does that look like? And we really work on fluency now, and it was really wonderful and some really great questions. And parents and grandparents, it was great. So a nice success.
We also had a fantastic neurodiversity presentation at Osgood that was Ms. Hart and Ms.
Yeah.
Larson.
Yeah.
Yes, and the third person's name escapes me.
Yeah.
But, and I apologize for that,
Yeah.
but a lovely presentation, very interactive for the students. And this is going to be paired with an autism
Celebration. on
celebration
Tuesday.
on Tuesday,
On Tuesday, yeah.
which we're really looking forward to our gauging some of our students' reactions from it. There was so much material to learn here. And I was really impressed with the way Ms. Larson and Ms. Hart interacted with kids and
Yeah.
very engaging. So
And these were first graders, and what they walked away with, they did such a wonderful job engaging the students, and it was such a well-paced and appropriate presentation for them. But to hear them and their comments at the end about what was the message, and it was that all people are different, but everyone is valued. I mean, it was really impressive.
it was great, very powerful. And we do have our electric school bus, and I'm told we have finally the paperwork all done. So, and we have a grand ribbon cutting, thanks to some of
Grand
the
like this.
organizational efforts of Mr. Carr for the electric bus. But we did get when it arrived, we got a quick preview last Friday. I was able to put these pictures in my newsletter, but just a great step for something. You can see the emblem on the top there of the plug. It's just a great step into what I think is the future for, I think, all bus fleets eventually, and hopefully Cohasset sooner than some of the others. And, it's still being, again, the paperwork's still an effort to get it on into the fleet, but it was just really nice to see. And there I am with Ray, our transportation supervisor, and that's Mr. Roberts, our director of data evaluation and curriculum, and obviously Dr. Scollins enjoying the tour of the bus.
I know, it's very exciting.
So anyway, that was just a nice moment, and we'll have more ceremony on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna, I might just add, we're gonna have if you could all join us, that'd be lovely. We're gonna have a brief ribbon cutting. All of our partners in the organization will provide a short set of remarks, and then we'll cut the ribbon, and people can tour at lunchtime on Friday at the circle at the school. We also were informed today that it's likely the Secretary of Energy and Environment for the Commonwealth may join us here, Rebecca Tepper. So
That's wonderful. And we have some finger sandwiches, courtesy of Vinny and crew, which will be
Nice.
available, and some late refreshments as well.
Yeah.
We'll do that in the community. So super. And that, again, I have to thank Mr. Carr for that. And obviously,
Good job.
Ms. Bodell from the Alternative Energy.
the chair of the Alternative Energy Committee was quite compelling to explain that we would be having
Yes.
ribbon cutting. So
And really, without her work, this
The whole
would
committee's been
not
wonderful.
have happened. But let's give credit where it's due. She really spearheaded
She's
it
amazing.
and deserves a lot of credit for that. And her persistence was quite frankly just absolutely needed. So she deserves a lot of credit as to why it's here. And this, if it's okay, Acting Chair McClellan, would like this to be kind of a transition into the academic updates.
Sure.
And
Thank you. Are there any further questions, Dr. Sullivan, on the updates? Seeing none, let's move into the academic updates. Dr. Scollins?
Great. So we're just returning from April vacation, but that doesn't mean that we aren't working diligently. Right before vacation, we had Susan Looney Consultants, working with our middle school math teams and working to look at creating our accelerated 7th and 8th grade curriculum with our new middle school program. The program that we have, they actually level 6, 7th, and 8th, but we do not, so we have to do some tweaking. So we are working with that consultant. It's been really collaborative and wonderful experience. Teachers are really happy about it. And then today, we continued our work with our elementary instructional leadership literacy team. And this is all of us working on looking at what are our look fors. So today, we really talked about where we were, where we are now, and what does it look like when you go into a classroom if someone is beginning in Reader's Workshop? Where does it look when they're developing and they're kind of in the middle? And then what does it look like if they're excelling at implementing Reader's Workshop? And so this is our work to create our look for so that when we're doing learning blocks, the teachers know the criteria that we're looking at, and we also know the criteria. So those are really wonderful and very packed 2 hours with this team. And this team will then work again next year, and we'll continue our work as we continue to implement. Because I think the most important thing that we discussed today, and this came from the teachers, is the professional development and that how important that is for their personal growth and making them better teachers of reading. And so that's what we feel is so important, and they feel the same. So they're very thankful for the professional development they've had. So that's been really good. And then I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that we were awarded as wellness champions from the Massachusetts Committee for Wellness, and that's where we had received the grant. And so they had offered us a couple of spots in their conference in May. So I'm going, and Vinny's going to go with me. And then today they asked if I would speak at one of their workshops about why administrators, our commitment to wellness in this district. And so I said I would love to. So that was really nice. And that's been a real focus. And we had a really nice meeting today. We probably want to talk a little bit about it during our other updates. But it was just a really good group and a really hardworking group. We've actually done a lot of nice things.
Love the
So
students on that group. too.
the students are unbelievable. And today was a half day, and I didn't even think that through when I made the meeting for today. It was on my calendar, but I just didn't pay attention. And we had a couple of students that came. I had other students that said, I'm so sorry I have practice. But we had 2 students come, and they bring such value to the committee. That's one of the best things we ever did, was inviting students in last year. Don't you think?
Oh,
It makes it,
so thrilled.
yeah, they're really, they're so articulate and so thoughtful and want to make a difference. So.
It's good.
Yeah.
And MCAS continues.
And CAS continues. We have a little bit of a break. They will start up again in May. And that will be our math and science. And of course, we'll have some civics for 8th grade. And then we'll finish up with our assessments that we would typically do that 3rd round for our elementary and middle school students in reading and math.
Yeah, and I think coming off this year, we'll probably have the fullest picture from a data perspective
Right.
that we've had on our students,
Yeah.
which should pay off in making meaningful moves with Superintendent Shannon at the helm. So that'd be great. A couple things I didn't mention that I should have just quickly. We had 2 amazing field trips over the April break, which I just couldn't pull together for this update. One to Panama, and they've asked to come and update us on that, and I accepted that. So Chairman Dial and I will set a time for them to do that. And then a amazing tour trip to Europe. I couldn't pull the pictures for today, but they were both very
I can
successful.
pull some.
I
know.
think it'd actually be appropriate to have the 2 groups come in, just give a
Be
little.
nice.
I think it'd be great.
And show that, they'll be really excited about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure your daughters were really excited about it.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the kids,
Kids set that up.
to quote one of the, not my kids, but to quote a kid out of 1 to 10, 9.7. So,
And I really have to
thank
the staff.
yeah, I'll talk to,
Who spearheaded those.
Coach A, and I got to thank him today,
Yeah.
and, Mr. Turner, and,
Yeah, and then for, of course, Panama,
Yeah.
Ms. Nelson and Ms. Crimmins, very, very committed educational professionals who deserve a lot of credit. It's their own time, and they're making a huge difference for kids. So really appreciate that.
For sure. Thank you for that. Any further academic updates, Dr. Scollins?
That's it.
Any questions for Dr. Scollins relative to the academic update she just gave? Seeing none, we'll move on to the budget and finance portion of the agenda, and I turn the meeting over to the Director of Finance and Operations,
Yes.
Susan Owen. It looks like we have a couple of gifts to consider, someone.
We do.
All right.
We do. We have two gifts, one, both from the Cohasset PSO. One was in the amount of $2,390.
These are F1 in your materials.
It
I'm
was
not-
from the Cohasset High School field trip to Ryan Amusement Park. Like I said, for $2,390. And the second check from the Cohasset PSO was in the amount of $1,000. It was for the multicultural, or the Mosaic event that we just talked about. So.
So it was 2,300 for the,
Amusement park field
Yep.
trip
high school trip.
and $1,000 for the Mosaic event.
Okay.
So again, everyone has in their packet. They have the copy.
They do,
So-
they do.
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Owen. I think we can make a comprehensive motion or a motion to approve both the gifts at the same time. If there is a motion to approve the gifts on the floor.
I just have one comment.
Okay, Mr. Kearney?
I still would like, and I drafted a letter, I'd like to, before I leave, get it approved where we thank our folks.
We're doing that now.
Okay, well, we have a thank you.
Doing that.
I drafted,
Oh, we are, oh, you drafted it? Okay,
I believe I drafted.
okay, is that getting sent out now?
I was told we're sending them out.
Oh, okay,
I did draft one. I don't know if it's the one we're using, but I.
We're
drafted it.
using them? Yeah, we're using them.
All right.
okay.
There you are.
Can someone send me a copy of it just because
I'll let Sue do
I
that.
see that? Just so everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong on
because of your
that,
request that it was done.
And you
Remember I
did
told
it.
you I was
And
gonna
I
do
thank
it?
you.
maybe someone comment
I'm
on that,
just
we should
following
just
up,
do
like,
it. I thought we were doing that, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Does Jen have the letter?
Yes.
Then.
Jen sending them, yeah,
then
so.
just-
oh, Jen said.
I believe so.
Yes.
So
Okay,
we'll
we'll just-
recheck that.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I just think, letter of appreciation.
Well, I know that I definitely saw Ms. McLeod
Fire
draft it.
that.
I know Jen got it. I just want to make sure they're being sent because I'm not sending them personally, so we'll check
We'll
on.
figure that out.
Yeah.
We'll fix a glitch if we need to.
No, I'm sure we are.
Any other questions for Ms. Owen on the gift, relative to the gift? No? Any motion on the floor to accept the gifts from the PSO?
So,
Motion made by Ms. Leskey. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carl. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously, with 4 present members voting in favor. Ms. Owen, thank you for that, and please issue one of the thank you letters to the
yes,
PSO.
and thank you to the PSO, as always.
All right, Ms. Owen, moving on, budget and finance, the monthly update, please.
So this is just gonna be a brief, there's not a lot to update, the FY 24 March finance report. As of March 31st, we are, 75% through the school year, and our budget is 72.62 expended. So again, we're running right along, parallel to where we should be at this time of the year. No areas of concern, except for the usual special tuitions, which, I'm glad to report the shortfall is going down. So it decreased from $445,970 to $436,580, which is, a slight decrease in tuitions of $9,450 based on a tuition adjustment. It's based on, we're billed like per day, so it could be something as small as a student didn't attend school for certain things. We've also approved and voted at school committee level the sped stabilization fund to help offset and around $200,000. The request is now with the town to get the approval from the advisory select board on that end. And then they will issue us the $200,000 to help offset this special education deficit. Update, just based on each school, what their budget was, what we've expended, what's encumbered, how many FTEs per school, and the percentage used of the budget. Nothing stands out. We talked about circuit breaker, so they announced today that the circuit breaker extraordinary relief and the circuit breaker reserve relief will be released next week. So we should know exactly what those numbers are looking like. For those of you who don't know, it's in addition to our circuit breaker reimbursement on special education tuitions,
There's an extraordinary relief, so if you have exceeded 125% over your previous year claims, you can file for extraordinary relief, which we got our approval today that we did meet the criteria, and our numbers should be released next week. Something new is the reserve relief, which is to help districts offset that 14% increase to private school tuitions that most districts took a big hit this year on, which is trying to reason our special education tuitions are in deficit. 14% is a huge increase. We should receive those checks, they said in May, but like I said, at least the numbers will be released next week. And you can see here the number of students that account for a circuit breaker reimbursement. The capital list for the current year is in front of you. All these have been completed. Our bus lease, our Chromebook lease, projectors in the middle school are all up and running. The Osgood iPads, so all of that is set for this year. And as we know, we have a capital meeting tomorrow night to meet with the capital committee to discuss what our needs are for the following year.
So tomorrow night at the, right?
Why don't we just wait until Ms. Sullivan
Okay.
gets through the,
Yeah,
gets through the.
okay. Yep, sorry.
In front of you now is what the school committee voted in our last meeting for capital. The areas you see in green are our regular annual capital requests, and the 3 items at the bottom are a request through the new capital stabilization fund. So that will be discussed at tomorrow night's meeting. And I believe capital is voting tomorrow night.
That's my understanding. And I think we're at about 7 o'clock.
7:15.
Yeah.
This is just an update on our grants and where we are to date. These grants all have to be used by June 30th, so obviously you'll see that our balances are decreasing month by month. And by June 30th, I'll have to file a final report that all grants have been expended fully. If not, we return the money, which is not in the plan. And the grants fund approximately 12.4 additional staff. The revolving accounts, again, this is just money that's paid to the district for, fees such as advanced placements, athletic revolving, preschool, high school, middle school revolving accounts, enrichment, transportation revolving, anywhere we're collecting fees. And you can see the balances off to the far right. Kindergarten is not in deficit. That's just a running balance because the town has $300,000 they contributed in a separate account, which will make a transfer in the middle of June probably. You can see our school transportation revolving is running slight deficit, but we are collecting fees for next year, which will bring that number right back over to the black. And school facilities, which is our rentals, that we started the year with minus 15,000. We're still collecting. We're down to 10,000. I believe after the spring season, we will be in the black on that as well. When we collect all our rental fees. So implementing, an increase in our fees and our usage has definitely worked, along with the custodial. Because we were charging a set amount. It was $45 an hour for custodians, what we were charging. But over all the years we've gone through, our custodian overtime rate is well above $45. So that's probably the reason we're in deficit there. And the school lunch program, again, is thriving. We are providing Mr. Cordone whatever supplies, materials he needs for funding to get what he needs. He has a wish list of all the things that he wants to do. He talked today about possibly buying juicers, some of the schools, with a visual. So he's got lots of plans, and he still has money just because all meals are free. And they've made that, I believe, for now to permanent. And the revolving accounts, fund approximately 24.7 personnel. This is just a breakdown of, FTEs and headcounts by, grouping, regular ed, central office, building, and such, so you can see exactly how many bodies we have is what a head count is. FTE might be, someone might work half-time, someone might work the full-time equivalency, so when you see 3.5, we have someone working half-time. We have a total of 228.6 FTEs, or 268 staff members that are funded through the school budget. This is just a summary of how it's broken down: regular ed, mandated special education, and undistributed salaries. So our salaries make up a good portion of what our budget is. A little over $20 million in salaries. This is just a breakdown by school of positions for FTEs by school and how they're funded, whether they're budget funded, or whether they're grant revolving, which we just talked about, grants revolving to provide staff members and their salaries. So all the elementary schools and the middle and high school. And again, our electric summary, costs are down compared to last year in our electric. And in our gas, costs are slightly up. Again, here's the breakdown of the grants and how many FTEs or head count we have per grant. So you can see our METCO covers 2 FTEs, our Title I is slowly diminishing each year, just because we don't meet the criteria. So we haven't funded any positions. We're using that money for other areas such as stipends for us development. 240 grant, it's a special education grant, funds 9.4 FTEs. So you can see the grants and what they're funding, and the same here with the total staff funded by revolving and the breakdown by revolving account. And as always, enrollment, April 1st enrollment, you can see here, you can see our, how many classes and what the average class size is at the elementary level. Anywhere from 18 to 21, which is a great range. And then there's a month-to-month breakdown of the enrollment for the past 12 months. And just some updates. Food service, the senior Skipper Cafe is now open and serving meals to our students. They've actually also put a microwave out there for students that have lunches or things they want to heat up, which is nice. New signage at the elementary school showcasing what the menus are. As Dr. Sullivan mentioned, the electric bus has arrived. We've gone through some of the training process. The bus will take over one of our daily routes once it's officially ready to go.
Yeah, I think Ray indicated, I think it might be now. I think it was the last stage, right? Okay.
We had to have some lettering and some numbering put
Yeah.
on it. It also didn't come with cameras, so we'll
Right.
put cameras in it, and a radio.
Okay.
So it's closed, it's closed. We took a ride in it yesterday. Very, very nice. I honestly don't remember.
Very quiet.
I don't remember being so claustrophobic on a bus, but I think it's based on my size now. This is what I was like. Jerry and I.
That's just the bus,
Jerry and I
right?
rode on the bus, and I was like, wow, those elementary kids, the seats are higher.
They are higher than when we were
seat,
kids, for
And
sure.
your knees were like right up against the seat, like it's very narrow. But I suppose when you're 7, 8, 9, 10, it looks like a big bus. And even the aisleway was narrow, like as you walk through, you had to kind of. And then facilities, couple things, they did over April break. There was lots of things happening. They upgraded some HVAC controls at the 2 elementary schools. Finally, we got the middle school elevator fixed.
That's good.
Each time we replaced a part, they found something else.
That was not a good situation.
The custodians worked on replacing ceiling tiles. The Osgood elevator had an inspection. They painted some needed, they painted some areas that were needed in the building. They did some deep cleaning of the bleachers here at the middle of the high school. And there were just many other small projects going on. They were very busy. And, the conclusion is at this point in the year, with the only concern being special education tuition deficit, which is not out of the norm. I think all districts suffer the same deficit every year, some more than others. Special ed stabilization fund and our extraordinary relief should help offset the deficit and balance the year. So no areas of concern there.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Owen. Any questions for Ms. Owen? And remember, she included the food service, transportation, and facilities in her update, so feel free to question or comment on those as well. We'll just close out this entire agenda section with that. So, Mr. Carr, do you have any questions for Ms. Owen at this time?
I say this regularly. I'm so glad Sue's on our team because you got some mad skills in the finance stuff, and thank you for always being so informative with us. I appreciate it very
Thank you.
much.
Appreciate that.
It's great. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Mr. Kearney?
Echo the same, Sue, thank you, and to the whole team, the whole administrators. I think this is a really good attempt to, first of all, like, we don't have other districts' problems that other districts are having. And this is a good proactive way, and you've been great to be proactive. And Ted, it's been nice to work with you on the committee as well. And I also I just have a quick question. So as far as the capital, we're starting to get a little press about things that go on here from Cohasset Anchor. And they mentioned all the last budgetary, which was great. And they also mentioned what we've been striving for that we weren't able to get. And we were gonna try to get that list out of exactly what, as far as the capital goes too. So I was hoping that we could maybe put that, what we really need to be just out there saying that we've asked for. So when somebody says, oh, I'd like to see this, or I'd like to see that, well, it's an ask. So there's always going to be an ask. And also too is with the new website coming up and the fact that we've added the donate page, which was great. Now we can be able to target that ask to that question, okay? And it can be for a teacher, but if you want to give to the school, we have a donate page. If you want to buy footballs for the football team, if you want to buy a theater, you want to.
I did put Sue's full budget presentation in my newsletter.
Okay, great.
It will be in there, but I think you asked something a little more specific just now.
Yeah,
which is
more
the
of a
capital.
You
Yeah.
want the 10-year plan? Is
Yeah,
that what you're looking
yeah.
We could certainly publish that as a public
Yeah.
document. So
We
why
can
don't
do that.
I focus on that for my newsletter and we'll
Yeah,
put it on the
that'd be great.
website.
That'd be great. Thank you. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Kearney. Ms. Leskey?
Thank you, Sue. I really appreciate this. It just helps to always bring forward sort of the complexities of running a district, as well as just being accountable to our constituents around running a tight ship. So,
Thank you, Ms. Leskey. Ms. Owen, any idea why the middle school revolving is so small compared to the other districts, the other buildings? It's like $300, something like that, and then the other ones, the elementary are each like, 3,000, 5,000, and the high school is 20,000. Just wondering, do you know?
It might be because
A lot of the revolving elementary level come from like the box top collections.
and also,
Life Touch gives us money towards,
yeah, we also got to remember the middle school's
It's-
only been in school for 3 years. What, 4 years? How many years was on?
So-
Five.
Five.
Can't believe-
what was happening, or had happened in the past is they were all listed under school committee gifts. And this year we broke it down by individual school.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
That doesn't answer your question about the middle school, other than the middle school probably doesn't collect
Yeah, the
box
elementary does,
tops.
right, the elementary do so much more fundraising.
Yes.
Than probably the middle
Um,
school.
High school's got 20 now.
And the high school,
But
part of the
biggest-
high,
biggest
They have other, you know, they have other.
part of the high school is the, it's either the advanced placement,
Right, AP and.
AP, revolving, some money's going in for AP, I think it's AP. I can look.
We can,
Sure.
it sounds like
They
something we
collect,
should,
I'm
they
just-
collect yearbook money, like
Okay.
there's, you know, I mean, there's.
Because what are we using that for, right? I just want to make sure the middle school is having the same amount of resources as the other buildings. And if they don't, and there's not the revenue source, let's just call it for lack of a better phrase, let's figure out why. Because it's just obviously despairing, and we don't want that. So I'm just thinking like what are they used for at the elementary levels? What is that money used for at the high school levels? Is the middle school being disadvantaged because it doesn't have that resource, or is it not? And it doesn't necessarily matter. And if it is, what can we do about
it's
it?
a good question. Let's give you a breakdown of what that is first, because I think I want to make sure.
Yes. 'Cause
I understand,
So I know
too.
the high school, part of their, it's their gifts that come in, it's the fundraising,
This is their student activity account?
and it's, no.
No.
This is their revolving account.
Right.
Okay.
It's either the advanced placement fees go in there or the PSA fees.
All right, well, I don't, we don't need to, you don't need to like, don't feel like you gotta like guess the answer now. Let's just, can you just look into it, and just let me know? So I just, just look into it, what it is, what forms those funds in each of the buildings and why the middle school is so low. They may have just like depleted it for something, which would be great. I just,
And
I don't know.
that is part of it, John does use.
I
think
can
he-
see
I
him,
think
I
he
can see
just
him
bought-
being very vigilant building principal in terms of using those funds. I can see that, and that may be why. And if that's why, then I would question why the other building principals aren't utilizing the funds, right? So I just, can you know what I'm getting at?
So
Don't need
we'll
to
give you
figure it out
some,
right
we'll
now.
give you debits and
Don't need to
credits.
figure it out right now. Yes, that'd be great.
I will give you the breakdown.
My other question was, can we, and I know we have a subcommittee meeting coming up, but can we have, you were just talking about, Mr. Cadone's, our Director of Food Services, his wish list. I think it'd be helpful, if you, because he isn't working over the summer, correct? Okay, so I think, what I'd like to do this year, as we're approaching the end of the year, can you have him prepare, and we'll mention this in the subcommittee meeting as well, but I'm just putting it out there now, a plan for the 24-25 school year for food services rollouts in terms of what he's looking to do, so he can present that to us for the upcoming year. You know, because we were trying to get that from his predecessor. We were just sort of thinking about it late in the game, and it was like in the summer, and she wasn't gonna do it. So then we're like, okay, well, how about the fall? And then, and then she had given her notice, so that never came to fruition.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'd like to do is invite him to one of our meetings.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That's
We'd like
what
to-
I'm talking about.
and actually,
Have him
Mr.
develop a
Carr-
plan and then come present.
Mr. Carr recommended that as a agenda item in the future to have Mr. Goodall here.
Yes, great.
That'd be a lovely, be a lovely
Brings
subject for a speaker.
samples.
So,
Yeah.
so let's do that, but as part of his presentation, have him present a plan.
plan.
That'd be great.
That's great.
Okay, any other questions for someone? Seeing none, we'll move right into the community relations subcommittee report. Any liaison or subcommittee reports from anyone, you can just fire at will.
So the Budget and Finance Committee, if you remember at our last meeting, we discussed, we'd gotten some feedback on one of the items we're interested in under capital, which was how would we spend the money if we were able to get it? So we did meet on that. A short presentation was completed and distributed to parties, and we're eager to hear about next steps on that matter. I know it's complicated, but we did do that. We did meet. We had a successful meeting on that. I'd also report that I watched the select board meeting. They are up to their eyeballs in budget requests, and so that was an interesting process, how they're doing it. Articles are moving forward out of these very committees, and I'll plan to be on the capital meeting for tomorrow with others to provide any feedback that we can. And then the Alternative Energy Committee, as you know, we're having the bus thing. I'll remind you 10 more times for Friday at
Yeah.
noontime about the bus thing.
And where is it?
Up by the circle by the gym over here at noontime. Sandwiches from our chef will be provided.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Any other updates? We have food
Oh,
service.
we had a great wellness meeting today. We actually did the capital improvement PowerPoint. And the kids were, I think it was a 8-0 vote that we had to approve the school learning center. They thought that was a great idea, that what we voted on. And they thought the wellness center would be well received. Matter of fact, we have a parent that also works with the school, and she was there. And we talked about how that we could use that room now to expand not only to yoga and all these other, but table tennis, ping pong, and, you know, and able
Could
to.
do a lot with that space.
Yeah, we can do a lot with the space, and my kids are all stressed out because of grades. They can go in there and listen to music and relax, and I think it's just a better situation for them for wellness, along with the new fitness center. So one of the parts that we did put the plan together, we already did, which was the fitness center. So the next element was to do the wellness center. So we're hoping that the select board takes on our recommendations on a subcommittee and something that we voted on to move that ahead. So we're really confident that if we can get the select board to put it on the warrant, then we would be able to get that passed and really improve the lives of the children of Cohasset.
Okay, thank you, Kearney. There's food service subcommittee, food service and nutrition subcommittee meeting Monday or Tuesday next week.
Monday.
Monday at noon, where we will be
It's a
dining.
whole meeting if you guys want to eat, because we always get fed.
That's right.
And
We'll
organic,
be dining
cheeseburger.
at Osgood with our smallest friends and to explore what further improvements can be made to our elementary lunch service program, food service program.
And just to note, he was at the wellness meeting today, which was nice to see.
Mhm.
The kids,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
engaging and,
Yes,
yeah,
great
it's
question.
fun to have them around.
It
you know,
really is, yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Any other reports from subcommittees or liaison positions? Seeing none, we'll move right into school committee governance, and the first item in that agenda section is the vote that I tried to take earlier at the hearing, which I'm sorry about that, working out the
Okay.
rust in this position, but I thought I remembered doing it at the hearing. but-
We have done it.
Oh. Well,
This
there you
was-
go.
This was Chairman, one of you,
I see.
but it's okay.
That's a curveball in
I-
absentia.
It can be out of place.
Okay. All right, so that is why I was confused. I feel better about that now, because I did it at the
Yes.
the hearing. when I-
It can be done out
All
of
right.
place.
Well, with no further ado, we discussed that we can continue to deliberate here if we'd like. Mr. Carr, it looks like you have a comment.
Can I make a motion?
You may make a motion.
I've moved that we decline the school choice opportunity this year.
There is a motion that Cohasset Public Schools does not declare itself as a receiving district for the in-district school choice program for 2024, 2025 school year. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
The motion's been seconded by Mr. Leskey. All in favor, let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Carr.
Aye.
Mr. Kearney.
No,
Ms. Leskey.
Aye.
Craig McClellan, aye. So that motion carries by a vote of 3 present members to 1. And so, Dr. Sullivan, we will decline to be a receiving district for this upcoming school year, but perhaps it's something we want to discuss in more detail or depth in the future.
We'll inform Desi of that.
Okay, next topic is, our topic's not reasonably anticipated by the chair. I was not informed of any. So we will not be discussing anything in connection with that agenda item. That moves us to the approval of minutes, which I did not see in the
So-
packet.
That's on me. The fabulous Kathy Bonk is awesome, killing it. And I'm the delay. So I will get that organized by the next meeting. I take full responsibility. She's been wonderful to work with, and I make sometimes a better door than a window. So I will get on top of that. And we're not, I would like to say we are doing great on minutes, like we're not behind. We are following the rules of the state, and I will be better at my job in that category. It says secretary there, so.
well, you get paid so much. You get it.
It's my fault. I'll have it for the
I
next
think we're
meeting.
doing wonderful on
Yeah,
that.
we are.
It was, we were significantly behind
Very
when I
kind,
was,
very much.
Thank you for
kind.
that.
when I was
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah.
I did it 1 year with a night.
That
Yeah,
was probably.
Kathy's amazing.
my
She's
biggest
wonderful to
shortcoming.
work with. Yeah, it's terrific, so.
All right, well, we'll be looking forward to some minutes at future meetings. Mr. Carr, thank you. With that, we have discussion of any future agenda items that anyone would like to see on the agendas. And if we talked about, so far we talked about two. We talked about getting the kids to the trips in here to present about their trips that they got to take. We talked about the food service director presentation and plan for 24-25, and it looked like Mr. Carr had his hand raised right before Ms. Lusky did, so we'll call Mr. Carr first. What a gentleman. Chivalry is not dead. Ms. Lusky.
We'll move things along. Can we put school choice?
Yeah.
I'd like to have a more robust conversation about
Yep.
that, just better understanding the details of the inner working of that program.
Yes. Of course.
And secondly, also, not wanting to lose the thread of the school facilities committee and its charge and how it's going to work with, the school committee.
Yes. How did we decide we were going to approach that charge issue?
I feel as if my understanding or memory is that we were going to come together maybe as a joint meeting, the school facilities committee and the school committee, to discuss what the charge of that committee is.
You've got to change the way it's articulated. I think that was at your suggestion.
Yes, and then I had done
had-
that, but then someone had
Yes.
suggested that I forget what the process was, but.
That was a long meeting.
Yeah, we should do that because it needs to get done.
Right.
I think I have it in the notes, so I will dig that up and send it around.
Yeah, maybe you do,
Well, we
maybe,
agreed to.
yes, okay.
And I want to mention that the chairman did join us on budget and finance this week. It was incredibly.
Ms. Lusky, is that all from you? Okay, Mr. Carr?
Same thing, school choice. I'd love to do it maybe more than once, maybe, quarterly or something, so we could just sort of, I'd love to know more about like, what it would take, what are our obstacles to it and things like that. So I think to discuss that a little further, other than just a one-time thing, would be great.
So fair to say, Mr. Carr, so at least to start.
Yeah.
Can we proceed with Ms. Lusky's proposed additional agenda item? Have a
Absolutely.
more in-depth discussion about
Yep.
the ins and outs of the program?
Yep.
Before we're committing to quarterly discussions on it, is that fair?
Fine. Yeah. I think it's an important topic.
Sure. Anything else, Mr. Kearney?
Yes, I'd like to bring Officer Taylor in and recognize that he does listen to us as a committee with the fact that he started the RAD program. So I have two daughters running around. No! Like, it's something that, and I want to say that that's something that was brought to our attention by a concerned citizen. And I'm proud to say that we worked together as a committee, and Officer Taylor did his job, and he got that done. So I'd like to recognize that and then bring him in. And also too, is have a discussion on drinking, teenage drinking, and how we're going to prepare our kids for the summer to say it's okay to say no to drink. If you don't want to drink it, don't feel. So I want to see his perspective on that. Again, whatever we can do to prevent teenage drinking, I think we should do as a society. And let it be known, it's not cool to drink. And I think that goes with the messaging boards that are supposed to be around the school and wellness. It's okay not to say no. It's okay not to drink. And that we got to make sure that, especially in the sports levels, where kids actually have to pretend they're drinking and they're not, just because of the peer pressure. And I think that needs to be addressed.
So, Mr. Kearney, I think it helps Officer Taylor to be specific in what we want him to present on. I think one clearly specific item was the RAD training. In terms of, would you like him to present on
I guess
community policing efforts that they make in deterring underage drinking in the community? Is that what you?
Yeah, that'd be cool. And again, I thank you for taking your time to speak with the students. I think I'd just like to see more of that, more of community development. You had come in on your own time. And then I think that we can get more committee members to come in, even bringing in a EMT to tell you what he sees sometimes out there in those accidents, or what his perspective is.
All right, so how about substance abuse diversion efforts?
There you go.
All right,
Perfect.
okay, anything else? I have none. So we'll move into the next agenda item, which is executive session. And we do have a reason to move into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Capital A, Section 21, Small a. We are moving into executive session for reason number 2, which is strategy and preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. So is there and I will also state that we will not reconvene in open session. So is there a motion to enter into executive session for the reasons stated in open meeting
So,
with the intention of not reconvening in open session?
so moved.
Motion's been made by Mr. Kearney. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carr. All in favor, roll call. Mr. Carr.
Aye.
Mr. Kearney.
Aye.
Ms. Leskey.
Aye.
Craig McClellan, aye. The motion carries unanimously. 4 members that are present, and we are now in executive session. Thank you all for attending. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you. Good night.